With singleness of mind, zest, and dedication, notwithstanding all the risks and several threats to his life, he undertook every assignment with the fear of God and as a service to his nation, Nigeria. Jonson, Amade, Ojogbane, the lead counsel of Signature law firm, who retired from the services of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on the 31st of May 2024, after 20 years of meritorious service, was a man who fought many battles and came out unscathed.
In the last 34 years that I left the law school have been all my best years as a lawyer. When you practice law, you have interaction with people. You interface with human beings most of the times when they are at their lowest end, when they are needy, when they have issues. While in private practice, we interact with people who come to talk to us about issues they have. When I joined the government, it was the same thing. The FCC was into prosecution of offenders. So you see people that make mistakes in their life every day, committing crimes, and interface with them, and interface with their families. Sometimes husbands come for their wives, wives come for their husbands, parents come because their children are with us. And what it did for me is to, at every point in time, when I relate with them, I bring out my humanity more than the authority I carry. I try to delve into their life, counsel, talk to them. Some people went to prison because I prosecuted them. But right in prison, for the years they were in prison, they were talking to me every day. They would send me text messages on Saturdays, pray for me. And somebody asked me one day, why did they do that? One of them, I asked him when he came out of prison. The day he came out of prison, after 4 years, he came straight to my office, looking haggard, lean, somebody from prison for 4 years. You know what it's been in Nigerian prison. He lay down on the floor to greet me. I said, what's this? This happened in the East, in Enugu. Why do you do this? He said, look, when you prosecuted us, not just me, there were people your cases were many, every time we come to court, you treated us like human beings. You were nice to us. See, you seem to have forgotten that. You used to give us money. All of us. They would bring us from prison, and one day I was sick. You said, where are you? Did they flog you there? What's the problem? I said, I'm having malaria, but there's no medication. You counted money and gave me. And gave my colleagues money, each of us. So when you do that, we know that you are a professional. You are doing your job. The job you are doing is what you have been called upon to do. There's no emotion attached to it, which is what I did in the last 35 years of my life. I try to do this work with the best professional finesse I can get. My comportment, my approach to it. But my humanity is always there. That people, when they make mistakes, they can be saved. They can be helped.
With over 50 criminal convictions and 100 civil judgments, it was no surprise that men of the underworld strived to take him out. Even fellow lawyers assaulted him physically in court. But Jonson Ojogbane is no stranger to life-threatening situations.
The job is dangerous. You are dealing with people that have resources, that have money, that can do and undo. I had one experience I had basically was in Enugu when we were prosecuting one banker, and the whole thing became like a circus. It was something else. He issued threats personally to me, one-on-one like this. He went to about 4 police stations and reported me that some people came to his house to kill him. He thought he saw me among them. Fabricated stories. And each time he went to the police station, they will now come and look for my office. When they arrive at my office, they now see that we're in EFCC. I can't go and arrest EFCC official. That's how they will go back. And then sometimes I'll be driving in Enugu, then a car will follow me around. There were twice during my stay there that I would drive past my house. I would go back. My house is close to the office. So instead of branch to my house, I would drive past my house and go to the office and drive inside. And because of course, the office is well secured. What policemen were at the gate and inside. So one day I even told them that I've been seeing a car following me around since. I don't want to continue to go to the house. So they said, okay, just stay here. I stayed till about evening if I got to. One of the days, one of my staff was in front of my house where they was kidnapped. A lady, right in front of my house like this. She was driving there like this. A car came in, bounced on her, and took her away. Luckily, we got her back. She was able to find her way back. Our colleagues have died in the process. There are people who are going to assassinate them because of the job. Shot at them, made sure they died before they left the place. Some died because of travels. Some died from stress from the job. A lot of things has happened over the years. So some of us who are alive, we're grateful to God.
While in the womb, a masquerade pointed to his pregnant mother's stomach in the dream and told her she would not live to have the baby. They both survived. Then, as an infant, he contracted, the dreaded measles which nearly ended his young life, but for God's mercy and the intervention of the local missionary hospital in his village. And so, like the biblical David who began by killing a bear and a lion before slaying Goliath, the giant, Jonson Ojogbane, was prepared even before birth to war against the powers of darkness, and he is still winning.
It's a privilege to talk on a man that has served this country, a man that is committed to development of law, a committed a technocrat, civil servant, and an outstanding prosecutor with AFCC. That is Mr. Jonson Ojogbane. It's a privilege to know a man like that. He's a man that had a very interesting background in law. He started practicing from Ankpa. He came to EFCC, and then from EFCC he has now retired. He's a man that has shown exemplary conduct in prosecution of so many cases. To be in the EFCC for those many years without being charged for one thing or other, or being indicted for something, is a record that somebody should be proud of as an eager person. So he's one of those people we look up to in the practice of law, and he has distinguished himself both in civil service, in the practice of law, and the prosecution. So I'm proud that he has retired peacefully from EFCC without any problem. Even retiring before the time is commendable. He has shown that he has a lot to do outside the establishment. Now that he has come to join us in practice, we welcome him. And we know he has a lot to do. At the age of 59, going to 60, he has a lot to do for the nation. He has a lot to contribute to the legal practice, a lot to do for his community and Igala as a nation. He has a lot to do. And we are proud today that he's celebrating retirement. My prayer for him is that he will see more glory. He's just starting. Now that he has come to join us in practice, he's going to excel. Very sure of that. And I pray for God to give him good health, more wisdom, and then long life to enjoy all his labor. And I pray for the wife especially, who will be looking after him, that make him look so young. And I pray for the children also that he has brought to this world, that they will excel more than their father. Excel more than their father in the sense that the father is still excelling. So he's going to set the highest standard for the family, and we are proud of him.
Working under enormous pressure night and day, his integrity and discipline were continually put to the greatest test. But a singular encounter he had many years ago as a teenager shaped the rest of his life. Ojogbane, who describes himself as a covenant child of God, insists that giving his life to Jesus Christ and making him Lord and Savior marked a turning point in his life that guided him in everything he did.
I had a Christian experience when I was barely 17. What I mean is, I had a personal encounter with Jesus Christ. I gave my life to Christ. And the background I grew up from, it really affected me. It is, from where I come from, it's difficult to actually be something. It's difficult, a lot of issues. So, but having encountered Jesus, I became an ardent follower of him. I became excited about my life. I started attending conferences. I started reading materials from several foreign missionaries, Kenneth Hagin, Kenneth Copeland, Oral Roberts, Young Cho. I started receiving materials, tracts, audios, books, and it gave me a perspective to life. What it did for me was to transform the way everybody thought life is. That is, life comes to you. Sometimes you don't need to do anything. Just stay. Whatever happens will happen. But when I had this encounter, I knew that with faith and the grace of God, a person can push to go where he feels he wants to be in this life. I read books upon books that told me that if you want to go to anywhere, get up and take a step. If you want to become something, dream about it. Have a vision. Say it, confess it, believe it, declare it, and walk towards it. So the Christian experience I had in the early part of my life was what helped me to grow so maturely before I grew up. I now knew things before I became 20. I knew things before I became 25. I knew stuff before I became 30. And of course, I married early. I was matured enough because of my Christian experience.
His success as a top EFCC prosecutor, advising clients on legal planning, strategies, and sundry matters propelled him to set up the Signature Law Firm, where he intends to bring all his years of experience to bear.
I actually had always told myself, and some of my colleagues that who hear me say this knows that I always said so, that I wanted an early exit from public service. When we were in Lagos, some of my colleagues used to call me, I don't know how the name came up, DLS. DLS means Director of Legal Services. And we were all colleagues, almost the same age. Some of us are called together within the same period, within 2-3 years together, 1990, 1992, most of them. And they started calling me Director of Legal Services. Mr. Oluseshi. He still calls me that name today. He's the General Director in Gombe office. He still calls me DLS. And so for me, that's the zenith of working in a government agency, Director of Legal Services. But you know that somehow that name paid out in my life. Suddenly one day I was in Kaduna and I got a call from the then acting chairman, Mr. Umar Mohammed. He said, "Where are you?" I said, "In Kaduna, sir. Come over and oversee the department." That's how I packed my things and I came to Abuja. And the day I reported, I didn't even know what to call myself. I didn't know how to address myself because I'm a deputy director and then they just come oversee the entire department. What title do I call myself? I asked my boys, some 2 boys, I asked them to work with me immediately. I said, "What would I even sign the documents now? What will I put there?" So, "God, but you are the director of this place." And I said, "But they say I should come and oversee the place. That's the language they use. Should I write overseer or what do I write?" The next Monday to solve the problem, we were talking on a Thursday. But the next Monday, document came from the office of the chairman. And guess what? It was carrying acting director, legal and prosecution. So that's how I started answering director of legal.
I'm part of this and I'm alive to see this. That someone started and finished. Not many people are finishers, but I'm so grateful that he started and finished a phase. He's about to start another phase. And the Bible says the glory of the latter will surpass the former. So I expect great things to happen and we will hear great testimonies in Jesus' precious name.
Born on the 2nd of August 1965 to the family of Ojogbane Haruna and the late Achiyawo Ojogbane at Agojeju, Ejule in Ofu local government area of Kogi State, Jonson Ojogbane, the son of a local farmer, rose to become an acting director of legal and prosecution at the EFCC, a testimony that no matter one's background, with hard work and God's favor, there's no height a person cannot attain.
I know Mr. Jonson Ojogbane very well. Apart from being a kinsman from my place in Kogi State, I know him to be a learned colleague who has been with EFCC for decades. I think even from inception of EFCC during the Obasanjo's regime. I know he served diligently until he voluntarily retired sometime this year to set up his own law firm as a private legal practitioner.
I know Mr. Jonson is a very humble human being, even though he will be against you in court, but he will talk gently and most politely, but he will make his point without compromising the subject matter of whatever has brought both of you to court. So, but his mien, his composure is such that any day, anytime, you know that this is a decent human being. What we call in Yoruba land, Omoluabi. He is an Omoluabi to a very great extent and to a very large extent, that I can say. He's a thoroughbred professional who is committed to whatever he does, and is one lawyer who pays attention to great details. This is demonstrated in quite a number of some few cases I handled and he was on the opposing side. In one case, it was a fundamental human right. And I never knew until he raised the point that you can only seek to enforce human rights where there is a question of detention, where the claimant or the detainee is being detained. My client was detained in Kano, and I came here to Abuja to file because EFCC is here in Abuja. And lo and behold, they brought out the point. And when I went into the law, I could see that it was right. So he has a knack for details. He pays attention to all the small rules, which if you ignore, may be to your detriment. So by and large, he's somebody I will give a great credit. He's a very thoroughbred lawyer, and he did well as an officer of the EFCC while he was there.